Welcome to the National Security Agency, Central Security Service. I'm Admiral Mike Rogers, Commander of U.S. Cyber Command, Director of the National Security Agency, and Chief of its military components, the Central Security Service. On behalf of the men and women of NSA CSS, thank you for your interest in our agency. This is truly an amazing place to work. Our missions are dynamic, and so are our adversaries. The NSA workforce brings together a diverse range of skills and backgrounds to achieve a common goal: to defend our nation and our allies against a wide range of national security issues. From terrorist threats against the homeland to the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction.
Absolutely believe that what the NSA has been doing for the last dozen or so years has been in gross violation of the Fourth Amendment concerning rights of privacy and against unwarranted searches. And I don't think there's any justification for it.
A lot of things. It's sort of the question of privacy versus security, and gathering metadata on phone calls by recording them, and I'm sure a lot of stuff on the internet, and a lot of electronically gathering data about all the citizens. And I wouldn't be surprised if there are NSA cameras watching things. I find all those things controversial.
I absolutely believe that what the NSA has been doing for the last dozen or so years has been in gross violation of the Fourth Amendment concerning rights of privacy and against unwarranted searches. And I don't think there's any justification for it.
Well, it definitely is going to trample on privacy rights. There's no doubt about that. What has to be answered politically, I guess, for lack of a better term, is just how much latitude should they be given to do their function. You have to decide what you believe their legitimate function is to protect us. At least I'm assuming that's what they would say. And then just how do you balance that with what your own personal rights are? And that's a real hard question to answer.
I'm of a mind that the government should not be surveilling every American citizen, that until there is a warrant or significant evidence that somebody is potentially betraying our nation in some way, until that point, they should not be gathering information on anyone. And that means that, the remaining 300 million of us should be left alone until there's some reason for them to be keeping an eye on what we're doing. What they're currently doing is, of course, collecting data on everyone and then sifting through it when somebody, red flags. And I think that that's just wrong. And I think a lot of people agree, but nobody seems to be doing a whole heck of a lot to change that situation. Based on what I do know, or at least what I have read and seen in the documentary and the film and the articles that I've read, I consider him to be more on the heroic side. I don't consider him to be a traitor in any way. I think that a real American hero is someone who stands up for the values of our nation and the principles behind our government. And that's what I saw him do. He saw a wrongdoing and he did what he thought was best to let the people know.
My reaction was that personally, if those documents in fact put lives in our country in jeopardy, that was not the way to do that. I think that he's trampling over some of the protections that are there for us. So, should he have done it? I guess only the future can answer that for sure, but should he be prepared to face consequences for what he did? Yes. If he's going to do that, he should be prepared to face what the consequences are.
In a more intimate and personal way via hacking our smartphones. They now account for an increasing amount of all internet traffic and are a godsend for the agencies, the secret doorway to all our data and internet use. What information, what intelligence can the agencies get from this, a smartphone? Snowden told us about a secret GCHQ training program codenamed Smurfs. Cartoon characters devised by Belgian comic artist Peyo.
Dreamy Smurf is the power management tool, which means turning your phone on or off without you knowing.
Even if I've turned my phone off?
Right.
And then we've got Nosy Smurf. What's Nosy Smurf?
Nosy Smurf is the hot micing tool. So for example, if it's in your pocket, they can turn the microphone on and listen to everything that's going on around you.
Even if my phone is switched off?
Even if your phone's switched off, because they've got the other tools for turning it on.
Tracker Smurf. What's Tracker Smurf?
That's a geolocation tool which allows them to follow you with a greater precision than you would get from the typical triangulation of cell phone towers. They want to own your phone instead of you.
We do this important work with an unwavering commitment to uphold the U.S. Constitution under the oversight of Congress to ensure our accountability to the citizens of our nation. Every day, our personnel develop and use cutting-edge technologies, translate and interpret scores of information, map and analyze networks and systems, and work side by side with customers, ranging from our nation's senior decision makers to troops in harm's way around the world. Working with our partners at U.S. Cyber Command, the Department of Homeland Security, and the Department of Justice, we also provide assistance in defending our nation's critical infrastructure and national security networks to ensure our enemies do not infringe upon our way of life. In a moment, you'll see a video presentation about NSA that will give you a better sense of this unique national asset, working on behalf of our citizens. We hope you enjoyed and learned from it. The men and women of NSA are proud to serve for the good of the nation.
Hear that? It doesn't sound like much, does it? But in the hands of an analyst at the National Security Agency, signals like these can become one of the most reliable and timely forms of intelligence available to America's leaders. Signals intelligence, or SIGINT, is intelligence derived from signals. Signals contain information about our adversaries that is vital to our national security. They can help us determine where our adversaries are located, what they are planning, and what kind of weapons they are using. America relies on NSA to collect and process foreign signals, understand them, and share them with U.S. officials and warfighters so that they can take action to keep our nation secure. This is not an easy task. SIGINT is technically challenging to produce. It is both an art and a science. Many of the signals we collect are encrypted, and usually they're not in English. It takes a team of mathematicians, linguists, analysts, and computer scientists armed with the latest technology working around the clock to turn signals like these into usable intelligence. But the results are worth it. SIGINT saves lives on the battlefield. It stops terrorist attacks and disrupts their operations.
Got it.
It promotes U.S. interests and alliances around the globe. It counters the proliferation of chemical, biological, and nuclear weapons. and it helps to thwart the flow of illegal narcotics into our country.
We'll reevaluate what we're going to keep pushing west into our zone.
Unfortunately, our adversaries also understand the power of signals intelligence. As we target their signals, they try to exploit ours. Hostile foreign nations try to gather information about official U.S. plans, policies, and capabilities by exploiting our communications, information systems, and networks around the clock. Each day, there are more than 3 million unauthorized probes of U.S. Defense Department computer networks alone, putting our nation at risk. That's why America also counts on NSA to protect sensitive U.S. government communications and information systems from our adversaries. Our information assurance teams work with U.S. government agencies and our allies to provide them the tools and the knowledge they need to keep their systems secure, so that our adversaries are unable to gain access to sensitive U.S. and allied information. The systems we design allow our leaders to communicate and exchange information securely in real time, anywhere in the world, from Washington, D.C. to the battlefields of Iraq, and from outer space to cyberspace. Information is power. When we know our adversaries' information and they don't know ours, we have the information advantage. And that information advantage is what the National Security Agency, Central Security Service, gives the American people.